Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Talking Wolves and welcome back to a brand new Final Word podcast stream here on our channel today. We hope you guys are keeping well and having a good weekend, and hopefully we can finish it off with talking about the Wolves as always. Alongside me, our first guest today is Mr. Matt Cooper. Matt, how you keeping, mate?
Yeah, mate, not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. A win, 3 points. Tell me what your thoughts were on the game, the win against Brighton today.
Results over performances, mate, as always. First 10 minutes. Probably the best football I've seen for quite a while. We really zipped the ball about quickly and didn't have very lot guilty opportunities, but it was just a bit more tempo and a bit more dynamism in the midfield and players interchanging and stuff. And it was going really well. And then obviously the goal came, completely changed the landscape of the game. I think once that goal went in, we went back to our usual rubbish self. The goal is a bad one to concede purely because you know exactly like you've got Dunk, Burn, Webster. They're a big side, especially at the back. And I don't actually mind the way that we mark from corners in terms of your bigger blokes zonal mark and your smaller blokes block the run. However, for that to work, you have to block the run, and we're just not very good at that. Other teams do it fine, and I don't mind that way of doing it, but it hasn't worked for us for years, and we still continue to do. But what was a bit concerning, it hasn't worked. Obviously, they scored from that. We kept continuing to do it from corners, so bit of a concerning one that. But I think the sending off changed the game. I thought it was a great bit of link-up play with Vitinha and Fabio Silva. And Fabio Silva, mate, I can't believe people were criticising him anyway, but he's starting to silence those critics now. But yeah, a bit stupid from Doug really to bring him down. It'd be 1-1 with 11.
Yeah, exactly, with 11 men, yeah.
And I think that really changed the outlook of the game. And it took Wolves another 10 or 15 minutes to really get into gear. But I think the introduction of Adama turned the game on his head. He come on and did really well. But Gibbs-White as well had a good game. Good to see him obviously start and take his opportunity. He missed an absolute sitter, but to be fair, he took the winner really well. So yeah, it was second half when they had 10 men was a lot better. But before that, and before the 10 minutes had happened, it was dreadful again.
Start with the Adama one. I mean, obviously he came on, made the change. He gave Dan Burn absolute nightmares, didn't he, at the Amex earlier in the season. But that goal from him is what you'd probably want him to be doing more of, those quick pass and goes. Great play by Silva, obviously knocking it back to him. But that finish is just something you wouldn't really expect to see from Adama Traore, was it? It was a really, really well-worked goal.
Yeah, I think the touch from Silva really helps because he doesn't even have to break stride. It's near perfect. It's a snapshot, and he's reacted, and it's a great finish. So yeah, you don't normally expect that from Adama, but I think today he probably had a bit of a point to prove. Obviously, they don't say dropped, but he probably was. He looked raring to go when he come on. Like, I've got a point to prove, and like I said, damn, they were doubling up on him and still couldn't get anywhere near him. So it begs the question though: what's going to happen in the summer with him, man? Like, are they going to cash in? Is he going to sign a new deal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a difficult one because in an ideal world, you'd want to sign a new winger, but you'd still want Adama to be on the bench and almost do like what he did today. I saw, out of his 100 games at Wolves, was it that 40 he started on the bench, which I still think it sounds quite a lot, I think.
Right, since the first season where he didn't really feature much at all.
Well, I suppose we played two strikers, didn't we, for a big chunk when we had Jota and Jimenez. So yeah, you're probably right there. But I know he wouldn't want to settle to be that bench player, would he? The rumours going around at the moment is that he's wanting a lot more money. He thinks he's a valuable part of the team and worth more money than Wolves are considering. But like I said, I think in an ideal world, if you can have him to be happy on the bench, you bring in another winger, bringing on a player of his pace and power for the last 30, 40 minutes of the game, and you're gonna cause problems like that, aren't you? Against teams like Brighton.
He's always going to cause problems for any defence, but your issue is he's going to want to games, and he probably wants a lot more money than Wolves willing to pay. And if you're asking me this question at the end of last season, I'd say give him what he wants. But by his standards of previous season, he's had a poor season. I know he's in a poorer side, but he's not had a good a season as he did the previous. So I mean, I'd be gutted if he went. I'd understand if he did. I'd understand from his perspective and the club's perspective. But
of course, yeah.
I think they'll come together at the end of the season if Nuno's still here, because obviously they've got a bit of a special bond. Nuno's very quick to give him compliments, and he doesn't do that with any player. I think they'll probably be able to thrash a deal out. But if he was to go, it might sound mad, but if we sign a better inside forward, we might have a bit more balance.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, isn't it? Really, I think we can all appreciate how powerful, how good on the ball and quick Adama Traore is. But there has been times, even that game against West Bromwich Albion, where there were probably better options at times before he was getting the shots away, and just in little pockets of that. And I think I don't know, stuff like today shows, the way he was creating, and that goal, he didn't just whack it, he did actually get a bit of direction and composure and quality on that. That's what we do need to see, obviously, more of. We'll go back, Matt, quickly to the set pieces. Obviously, you spoke about it. I think Wolves have conceded, off the top of my head, about 13 from set pieces now, which is fairly worrying. I like what Ben said earlier. Pedent should have picked up Duncan on the set plays. But Jamie said something about that as well. I know on the TV coverage they were moaning about Morgan Gibbs-White on Burn. Do you think it was a foul, or should it have been a penalty for Brighton?
To be fair to Gibbs-White, he stood his ground and he's not grabbing him. He's literally got a straight arm out. And I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And I think Dan Burn's trying to move him and he can't. He's got his feet caught. It's not a penalty. He's just stood his ground. He'd be fuming if he conceded that. Because if Gibbs-White had got hold of his shirt or got his arms around him, but his arm was straight out like that, and fair play to him, he stood his ground.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the highlights back again after the one Sky put up, and the first 3 were all off corners. Obviously, the first one with the goal, the second one was that incident, and one where Dan Burn came close as well. But I think they're always going to offer that threat, aren't they, Brighton, with those big boys at the back. And obviously that red card changed the game. Harleen in the chat, he reckons Adama was his man of the match, completely changed the game. It seemed that way as well. Yeah, who would you have said, Matt? Gibbs-White maybe, or?
I don't know. I think Norrie did well as well. Second game in a row, he's really matured, and he had the beating of their fullback every single time. Well, for Gibbs-White goal, he took it past him. Looking a really good player. To be fair to him, I hope we sign him. Gibbs-White had a good game. I thought Neves and Martinho were pretty average. I'd probably say Adama, purely because he did turn the game on. He said, I know he only had 35 minutes, but that's all he needed.
Yeah. Jack as well, he says Aït-Nouri is getting better every game. I mean, he has, I think, this, obviously the unfortunate injury to Johnny, Marcel being made of poppadoms or whatever, it's given Aït-Nouri that chance to sort of get in the team now. He's the only left back in the team. Do you think he's done enough, Matt, for Nuno and Jeff to try and get that move to make it a permanent one in the summer?
I'll definitely sign him, but whether he's first choice next year, I don't know. For me, it's not. If we sign him, it's not an area of priority. 2 centre halves, maybe 2 central midfielders, and someone who can play across the front 3 is my priority. But he's definitely got better over time. But we've got to be careful. So I remember when he played the Palace game in his debut, he was unbelievable. And I said, we've got to be careful that we're not singing his praises too much because he's still young. He's still going to have inconsistencies. And the next game he played, he was just a shite. So we've got to be careful not to get too ahead of ourselves with him. But yeah, last few weeks been really impressive. He works on his defensive game, mate. Going forward, he's unbelievable. His feet are so quick.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I think that exposure to first team football, I think as well. He had played that a little bit for Angers in France, but now he's playing more first team football. He's had almost close to a full season now in the Premier League, getting used to it. Just like you say, going forward, he looks that real threat. And I think again he's almost on the same sort of path as Fabio Silva. If you can get a big physical summer behind him, bulk out a little bit, you've got a season behind you now knowing what the Premier League's about. Next year could be a really big year for a couple of those players. Vitinha as well, obviously he's been given a chance last 2 games, Matt. Impressed well against West Brom. What did you think about him today?
I think he had a quieter game, but he still showed some glimpses of real quality, of course, putting Silva through for the red card. I'd be signing him as well. I don't think he's a finished article, but the West Brom game was different gravy, but had a quieter game today. But yeah, I've been impressed with him. As long as the money's right for the pair, I'd snap your hand off the both. But Aït-Nouri, what I like about him as well, is going back to his is he 19, 20?
Something like that, yeah, but still young.
He's always positive. He always wants to take someone or go past someone. Sometimes he loses the ball, but he's really positive, and he's got that arrogance. He doesn't shy away from the challenge. So I like him.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of praise for Max Kilman as well. Got a chance today. Obviously, Sace, you could argue, was at fault for that goal we conceded against West Brom. Matt, your thoughts on Kilman's performance?
To be fair, mate, we didn't have a lot to do defensively. Like that, obviously there were a threat of set pieces, but they had a spell in the first half where they had a few chances, but he didn't have to do that much. But what he did do, he did well. Obviously, he's not at fault on the corners. That's down to the way we've been set up. But yeah, I like him. I don't think he's Premier League quality, not for where we want to be. I think he'd be an excellent sign in the Championship for someone, or maybe even someone who's come up who all they've got to do is defend. I know he's played futsal and stuff, but I still think he's a little bit limited on the ball. I know, and that might sound mad, but I just do. I think we need to set in our sights a lot higher. But if you said to me, drive keep Kilman or Sace, it'd be Kilman.
Yeah. I think as a squad player, there was rumours a couple of months ago that Wolves were open to loaning him out or selling him this summer, and it will be very intriguing to see how Wolves approach the window in terms of, if it's going to be wholesale changes or, if they're going to try and keep a bulk of the squad together.
He's not anymore, is he, Kilman? He's not like 90, he's 23, 24, isn't he?
Exactly. He's got to be put, he should be. Yeah, exactly. Chaotic Rager as well a bit earlier on. He spoke about Podence. I know you're unsure still about Podence, aren't you, Matt? Like he's had a disappointing season in terms of injuries, and whenever he seems to pick up that little bit of form, he gets injured again. But what's your stance on him going into the summer? Because ideally, if everyone's fit, you'd probably play him maybe as a number 10, but then you've got Vitinha and Morgan Gibbs-White that have obviously been impressive recent weeks. So where do you stand on Podence at the moment? Because again, he's not a young player anymore.
26, 25.
Yeah.
I don't really rate him that highly. He shows glimpses of real quality, but he doesn't do it enough. And what annoys me is just constantly moaning, and there's always a problem, or chucking himself on the floor. Like that annoys me, especially when our backs are to the wall. If everyone's fit, he's on the bench for me. He doesn't start for me. It all depends on Adama's situation, and it'll probably get more game time starting next season if Adama's gone and Neto being injured. But for me, he's not good enough to start. I don't think. He just doesn't do enough for me. Like I said, shows glimpses of real quality. Some lovely, very got great flair. But for me, he doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it enough, and he's a good squad player to have.
Yeah, and I mean, before we finish today, Matt, of course, we've been back in the campaign from BT Sport, obviously, for their online hate as well. And Matt, obviously, I wanted to speak about it a little bit today. I spoke about it on the match preview. Obviously, the figures that they've put. Obviously, if anyone wants to look a little bit more in depth into it, it's in the description of today's stream. But how important do you think it is, Matt, that companies like BT are obviously making, trying to push this campaign and try and get the word out to, whether it be, just football fans or social media companies, to try and step down on this sort of stuff?
I think it's really important, mate, to be having the conversation. A problem is I don't think it's going to do much, purely because it's people aren't very nice. Obviously, we've had this before. Some of it was, death threats and all sorts of behaviour, which when you do what we do and put your opinions online, you expect scrutiny. But one thing you don't expect is to be sent your address and being told to kill yourself and stuff. That's completely just out of order. And people need to realise that there's sometimes words do have consequences. But it's obviously a great campaign from BT. But you look at these social media companies and you've got ex-players saying, you need to upload ID and documents. It'll never happen, mate, because these social media companies are constantly having the data breached. So it's never going to happen. And I don't think this problem will be so, especially with racism and homophobia and stuff like that. I don't think this problem will be solved for 4 or 5 generations' time.
Yeah.
And that education will be passed through from generations. But you're a product of your environment, mate. And if you surround yourself with idiots, you're going to become one yourself. And I think that's what the problem is. Like, me and you know it's wrong, but I've been down the Molyneux and I've heard it. And it's ridiculous. And it's like I said, it's going to take generations and generations to really see a change. But what we need to do is keep talking about it and making sure that if we do see it, we report it, or we say something and tell someone that they're wrong. Because the thing that concerns me the most is that these people don't realise what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, guys, a link to the Draw the Line campaign from the BT. You might see it, obviously, before and after games if you're watching on BT Sport, or you can obviously read up about it with a link in the description. But, Matt, I'm sure we'll be seeing lots more of both of us, obviously, on the channel over the next few weeks because we've got podcasts lined up. And, obviously, at the end of the season, loads of content lined up. So, looking forward, mate, to chat more about Wolves with you. So, I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Cheers, mate. Take it easy.
Nice one, mate. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Big thanks to Matt for jumping on the stream. We'll move on to our next guest now, guys. Keep getting your comments and so on in the chat down below. We'll talk about today's game and look ahead to the rest of the season as well. Our next guest now is Scott from Sweet and Sour Soccer. Scott, how you keeping, man?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. 3 points for the Wolves today. What did you think of that game?
It was good, wasn't it? I mean, we've had a little bit of a joke in a chat that we have. I mean, obviously, I've been one of them calling for Nuno to go in recent times, but that's exactly what I wanted to see him do. Start playing the kids, giving them an opportunity. And let's face it, the shun today. I think some people would say, look, it was against 10 men, but one thing that we did have is that when we were like driving forward with those 10 men, we showed intent to actually go at them today, which at times I think we've not seen. And yeah, I think the first 10 minutes in particular was really positive. I think the goal probably shook them a bit and not the confidence, but the second half really positive, weren't it, at the end of the day? And it was great to see some of those get a game.
Yeah, I think, the one concern I think Nuno probably would have had, especially when they went down to 10 men, is, look, if we could play close to 45 minutes against 10 men and don't score, then I think you would have had every right to be moaning about Nuno and the squad after that. But the fact, to be fair, that we've turned games around in historically under Nuno, we've struggled to break teams down that, will almost shut up shop. The fact that we've been able to break them down is a positive sign. And like you say, the young players really, especially Morgan Gibbs-White, who's had loads of stick over the last 12 months. He's put his head down the last couple of games. And every time, even his cameo performances against Fulham, against West Brom, and even today, Scott, do you think, where can he go from here? Do you think Nuno's got a place for him in this squad for the foreseeable future?
It's one of them, it's easy for me to come on today and go, oh, I've been saying this for ages, but I generally have. I've really wanted to push him because I see something in him with Morgan. I think the thing is, we saw maybe last season, or a season before, he does do sometimes a bit too many flicks and stuff, but as you say, he's looked really positive when he's been given the chance. I think when you actually take away, he's starting to not play all the fancy stuff. He's starting to do the stuff that you need to see, the simple passes. And I thought today he looked like he was moving with intent at all times. He was looking to get on the ball. And I think when he missed that chance, I mean, he could have quite easily just gone into the background, especially probably because he knew the stick that he was probably going to get for missing that chance. But you know what? He just said, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another chance. And you saw the intent that he had to go and get that chance. And he finished it. Fair play to him. I think the main thing about the goal today is it's getting the fans back on side. I think, we even saw that obviously there's been issues with, I suppose, someone in his personal life, but even the fans were getting on with her today, which was pleasing to see. So hopefully we've all just turned a corner with that. We can start backing as we, one of our own, and we'll see a real positive turn for him in the future. I think he's still got a future with us. He's only 21? Is it 21 he is?
21, yeah, I think so. Yeah, 21.
Yeah, so, bags of room to improve. And I think hopefully we'll see, and get a few more minutes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a strange 12 months. And I think, with what happened sort of the last lockdown last year, if we came into a full stadium of fans, I think he would have had a really difficult time. Quite fortunate with that, had a good low move away. And I think he obviously would have I think he would have been disappointed with the game time that he's got since coming back, to be fair. And he's really shown his worth. And I think he's one of those players, Wolves fans that have seen him will know that he's been pretty underwhelming, especially since, that first sort of season, in the Premier League. But I bet outsiders still think of Morgan Gibbs-White as this up-and-coming young footballer. So when they see him on mainstream BBC TV as well, I think, they're going to be rubbing their hands together. I've even seen one or two England shouts on Twitter today. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But, Yeah, really positive performance from him, and I think in that number 10 role, if Wolves and Nuno are going to be pushing that 4-2-3-1, Scott, I think Vitinha and Morgan, the fact that he fitted both in somehow today, I think they've both got a big chance of developing and having lots of first team football next season.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think we've probably maybe not seen the best of Morgan because we've seen him put out to the wing. I don't think he is a winger. I think we saw a lot more positive performance from him today when he took up that number 10 role. As you say, I think Ventina, if we start playing a 4, the 4 in at the back, and we've got 3 midfielders to choose from, I think Ventina can be that kind of the box-to-box player, and I think you can get Morgan and Ventina next to each other then. Yeah. So, if we can incorporate them together for the rest of the season, that'll be great to see.
Yeah, and I think, Nuno's taken a bit of a risk these last 2 games. Obviously, Otasowie maybe picked up a knock, I'm not sure, wasn't in the squad today. But the fact that now, I think the fans wanted to see that, but it's one thing the fans asking to see these young players, and there's another thing actually trying to perform and get results still with these young players. And we've been able to do it the last 2 games where he's chucked these young players in, and we've got 4 points out of a possible 6, out of 2 games against teams, that are big, physical, experienced, got experienced players. So I think he's done quite well now, and I think the last 3 games are going to be interesting. 3 tricky games against teams that are still chasing European football, you could say, in Everton, Spurs and Man U. How Nuno's going to approach it? Is he going to go back to the experience? Is he going to go back to the back 5? So but I think it's worth persisting with the young lads. We're not going down. We're not going to get Europe. That 12th spot is more or less ours now. We've got that bit of a cushion below us. We're only 3 points behind Villa, to be fair, but they have got a game in hand. But it'd be nice if we could overtake them. But I'm just looking in the chat now. Harleen, so excited to get the fans back in Molineux. We won't talk to Scott about that. I'm sure. I
was about to say so was I until I found out I was priority 4, and now what, forget about it.
Yeah, Wolves FC as well. Another assist for Fabio, mate. His goal contributions, Fabio Scott, have improved. Another assist for him today. And made the red card happen. Mate, that run for that run through to cause that red card from happening. I mean, how much better is he, and how much more has he contributed than Willian José? I know in Sweet and Sour Soccer, your videos, there's always a bit of debate about Willian José, but I mean, Fabio's just produced so much recently, hasn't he?
That's it, yeah. I think with Jose, it's a bit of a weird one. I even speculated, did he have something in his contract where he had to get a certain amount of starts or something? But it's all speculative, but it wouldn't surprise me. But moving on to Fabio, I said it myself earlier. I think, when he first joined us, he looked like a bit of a headless chicken. He looked like a guy with intent, but you just weren't really running into places of intent. You didn't know what he was going to do. There's only a bit more intent about that, and it's the passing as well. He's starting to link up play. He's starting to do what an alone striker should do. But yeah, I think it's one of them. I think a lot of people have been tied with him. A lot of people would say that, I think it's a bit of a weird one for us as Wolves fans, because we've never in the last 10 years bought for the future, have we? And I think it's a new concept for fans to have to catch on to. I mean, the mad thing to say is in 10 years' time, this bloke's only going to be starting to reach his prime, or, well, I guess he will be in his prime by then. When you put it like that, I mean, Harry Kane was at Leyton Orient at this point. Jamie Vardy was playing in, well, probably somewhere in non-league. He was in non-league. So the fact that he's carried the line. Yes, he's not been amazing at times, but I think for his age, he's been absolutely superb. And I think if we can keep hold of him for the future, we could have a striker for 10, 15 years on our hands.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think, like you say, we've not really seen this concept before. Every time we linked with a player that's 16, 17, 18, just met with people groaning. But genuinely, in 3 or 4 years, Fosun could look at it and say, told you so. Or, we could be selling some of these players. 18-year-old that's coming on doing well for us but still can't break into our team, making 3 or 4 times the amount of money that we paid for them. But you're right. I mean, even with strikers, look, last 10, 15 years, it's always been strikers that have already produced at a certain level. Sylvain Ebanks-Blake, Kevin Doyle, Stephen Fletcher, they're already doing well at that level when we'd signed them, really. So this is, even Jimenez, was playing, he'd play for Atletico Madrid, he played for these big teams. So this, obviously for Fabio, it was never meant to see him break into the team, but it's good to see him now put his head down, work hard, And even if he's not scoring the 30 goals that for some reason football fans are expecting him to get this season, he's drawing fouls, he's getting assists, he's getting involved, pulling defenders away. So I think it's been a really impressive spell recently for him. There's a lot of other players as well. Ki-Jana Hoever, Scott, I've not really spoke about just yet. He got a rare start today. I think Wolves fans would be very interested to see him, because when you talk about young players, he's not really a name that gets mentioned much. Maybe because obviously his position is very similar to Semedo. We've not been able to see him. But what did you make of his performance today?
I don't think he had a great performance, but it was basically what you'd expect from a young person thrown into a back four that hadn't had much game time. I think, do you know what? I think it was one of them. What I saw going forward was quite positive. He kind of reminded me a touch of Doherty in the way that, like we've not seen it with Semedo in really getting forward to that byline. Well, today with, Hoover, we actually saw that. I think that was really positive. The balls he was playing in weren't very good. And I think defensively, especially in the first half, he did get caught out quite a few times. But again, as you say, a young player, he's only, 19, I think Hoover is. So this is someone that, is going to be a great backup, and maybe he might be one that we think, we can loan him out next season, get him some game time. So I think he's got a great future for us. I really do. I think it's going to be difficult, though, because Semedo's not exactly old, is he? He's only 24, 25. So it's going to be an hard one to get in.
Yeah. I mean, with the amount of money that Wolves spent on Semedo as well, I know there's been sort of whispers of Roma maybe looking at him. But, the amount of money that we spent, it's not like Wolves are just going to give up on him. And I think it'd be interesting. I do wonder where they saw Hoover when they signed him. The vision they saw, was he going to be a centre back? Was he going to be a right back? Because we've seen him play in both positions so far this season. And a couple of people, Scott, asking in the chat about transfers and stuff. And obviously want to gauge your thoughts before I let you go, just ahead of the summer window. So Chaotic Rager talking about, obviously, fans, they wouldn't mind young signings if we bring in, one or two decent first team ready signings. But then there's also a couple of people asking about Rafa Mir. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to have watched every single game Rafa Mir has played this season, but I'm sure you may have seen the goal that he scored yesterday. But what's your opinion on him? Because we've already got Jimenez coming back. We've got Fabio Silva in the squad. I'm assuming you'd probably let Willian José go back to Spain. But should Rafa Mir be sold whilst his stock's high, or do you think he deserves another chance at Molineux?
I think the question's going to be maybe not if we want to keep him. It might be what does he want to do. I think when he originally joined us, I could be wrong, but I don't think he really adapted well to the English league. He didn't like living here. I mean, let's not forget that it was only about a year ago that he went out to Notts Forest, and I've spoke to a few of their fans, and they said he was absolutely terrible. I don't know whether he's just going to be one of those players that doesn't really fit the English league, or maybe he's just had a really good season. It's worth bringing him back into the fold. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because we've got Fabio, we've got Jimenez, and obviously if we can get Rafa Mir as a third striker to play in with those, it'd be great. But he's going to be quite hot property now. There's going to be quite a few Spanish teams that are going to want him. He might prefer to stay out there, and if we can get 20, 25 million for him, I think I'd prefer to see that money put back into the back line.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I know a lot of fans want to see him play. I think Wolves only signed him for a couple of million max back when we were in the Championship under Nuno. And like you say, it didn't work out there. Forest, he was dreadful. I think he had a little loan spell at Las Palmas. So, this is only his first real big season in the top flight, because he got promoted last season with Huesca. But yeah, he is doing really, really well. And there's rumours that he might be selected for the Spanish team. So if he's selected for the Spanish team for the Euros, all it takes is one goal, and that price is going to rise on the big stage. But you are right, because is he going to be first choice at Wolves? Probably not. Are they going to want Fabio Silva going down the pecking order again? Probably not. So, like you say, I think if they can get 20, 25 million for him, whilst his stock is high, it is probably worth selling him.
The only thing I would say though is maybe it might be worth keeping him around for half a season, because you hate to say it, but you don't know what we're going to have with Jimenez when he comes back. Are we going to have that same? Is he going to be the same? But I do agree with you, actually. I think if we get 20, 25 mil for him, then yeah, definitely might be worth taking it up while his price is high.
The other issue with him as well, I believe he's got 1 year left on his deal. So if he comes back to Wolverhampton in the summer and says, nah, but I want to go. I don't want to renew. Then you've got to sell him anyway. So that's probably out of our control, really. But Scott, it's been great to chat. Another big 3 points to Wolves. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you very soon, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, see you soon,
Nice
Damon. Cheers for having me on.
mate. No worries, mate.
Cheers.
See you soon. Cheers. Big thanks to Scott. I'll leave a link to all the channels in the description after. Sweet and Sour Soccer, him and James. Great channel to check out if you haven't already, guys. Sort of Reese there. Been on for about half an hour, mate. So we're about halfway through. Keep me updated on the West Brom score. Are they losing? I assume they're getting relegated. But before we move on to our next guest, guys, I had a quick chat with Matt earlier. Be sure to check out the BT Draw the Line campaign for that online hate. Just trying to raise awareness for that. Loads of stats on the link in the description if you want to read up on that. But that's something they're going to be pushing between now and the end of the season. Next guest. Here he is, Mr. Harry Mansell. Harry, how you keeping, mate?
Really good, Dave, yeah?
I mean, probably not as good as you, mate. I saw a couple of those, the bookie bashing there, mate. Got a nice couple of winners there from today's win.
Yeah, it was strange because the bookies had Brighton as big favourites today. And I know they had to win to pretty much cement survival, although they were pretty much safe anyway, really. I think we were 15-4 just to win. So when I saw it was 40-1 for Brighton to win at half-time, was to win at full-time. With our famous record of our poor first halves and coming on second half, I thought, why not? And all my mates did it as well, like Jack and that. And yeah, it was weird. I'm just glad it come in.
Yeah, a trip to Vegas sorted now, then, mate. You've got it all paid for now. But you watched the game back. Obviously, you were busy, but recorded it and watched the game back. What were your thoughts on the 3 points?
Yeah, first 10 minutes, mate, I was like, wow, this is brilliant. I thought Aït-Nouri was flying forward really well. I was happy that the youngsters were getting another chance. And then when it turned a little bit and they were having them corners and obviously they got the goal and every corner they had, I thought they were going to score because, look, we had a lot of kids playing and I found myself being like, Jesus, we look weak here. But then I thought to myself, well, you've got to expect this because there's a lot of youngsters on the pitch and not many physical players, really. Like, it was literally looked like boys against men physically at times on the corners, but we managed to ride our luck, and let's be honest, the sending off was huge. But I was happy with the way we approached it. A lot of the game, we couldn't really get anything going, but when we did, we played some really good stuff going forward. And obviously, Adama was the difference. And I was happy he got dropped today, Adama. But when we were playing and nothing was really happening, I was thinking to myself, please bring him on. And when he did come on, he was the difference. So I'm glad he come on and made the difference too.
Well, I spoke about it earlier. The Adama goal, the actual intricate play of that, which I think we just seem to be seeing a lot more with these young players. With the ball at their feet, they knock it about really well. Vitinha, even the goal against West Brom, like Vitinha, Fabio Silva, sort of all getting involved. And that was a goal for Adama. Nice little pass to Fabio, nice return pass, and really nice composure, which I don't think you really expect to see from him as well. But he just caused them an absolute nightmare when he came on, didn't he, Adama?
Yeah, and he did, when you think back to the game at their place as well, that big lad that got left back, is it Byrne?
Dan Byrne,
6'8" or so. Yeah. So I bet he was thinking, oh no, when Adama come on, and he did just rip him apart. And when Gibbs-White was good, Vitinha wasn't as good as he was against Albion, but still, it's just nice to see us trying to create stuff on the edge of the box, isn't it? The little flicks and that. One ball, Moutinho, when he put it over to Willian José, I thought that was a goal. But his first touch, José, and that's the reason why I guess Fabio Silva's in the team, because he let himself down there, didn't he? What a ball from Moutinho. And I've given Moutinho stick, but he probably weren't that good today, but that pass was exquisite. And that's a sort of pass that can win you games. But unfortunately, I've heard Matt call Willian José a cart horse when I was on the Talking Wolves podcast, and I tend to agree with him at the moment, especially after that.
What's the future hold for Willian José? Surely Wolves aren't going to be signing him, Harry. Especially, we've since Fabio's come into the team, he just seems to provide so much more than what Willian José has done since he's joined the club.
Yeah, well, before I talk about José, Fabio Silva, fair play to him. We've said before, he's took a lot of pressure off him, coming off the bench for José. Now he's in the team. He's playing so well. And I don't think we will sign Willian José. I said after the West Ham game a few weeks ago, I don't really want to see us sign him. But then I kind of ate my words a little bit because that disallowed goal, didn't he, against Fulham and scored against Sheffield United. But still, he hasn't cut it for me. And he come on today and I mentioned that chance. And I don't think he'll be a Wolves player next season.
Yeah. it's a shame. When he came in, I thought, you know what, this is going to be, I was really excited. He'd come with a bit of, obviously, big links with some bigger teams in the past. He'd done quite well, quite a big name over in Spain. But it's just not... I don't think he's a bad footballer. He just doesn't suit our style of play. We like to counter-attack and start moves deep, whereas I think he's expecting the ball at his feet within 6 yards of the goal, and he's going to be putting those chances away where, we don't really, make that happen. So it's a shame, but I think Wolves would be daft to be spending 10, 15, 20 million on him, especially when you've got players like Rafa Mir out on loan that you can still sell and either bring back into the team or sell and buy another striker with. But there was lots of young players that have had game time, Harry, these last 2 weeks, and it's been, last week or so actually, and it's been, you could argue, a bit of a gamble by Nuno, but 4 points out of a possible 6 from those games. Is there anyone in particular that has shone for you and deserves to be a permanent fixture in this 11?
I'm going to say Ait-Nouri. I know Vitinha got a lot of plaudits against West Brom, but he wasn't too good today. But Ait-Nouri's been brilliant, hasn't he? Recently, he just looks so good. I mentioned in the first 10 minutes he was getting forward well. Yes, he can look a bit weak and shaky defensively, but he looks one for the future. And the thing is, our squad's so young at times, especially now we're playing the youngsters. You forget how old some of them are because, you just rely on them as first-team players, don't you? Especially Ait-Nouri with the injuries to Johnny and that. So Ait-Nouri, for me, out of all of them, he'd be the one, I think, now. But at one point, a few weeks ago, Dave, or like a month or so ago, I wouldn't have signed any of them. But now I think Ait-Nouri definitely. Vitinha, after West Brom, I was like, yes, definitely. But I think still, maybe let's see what he does in the coming weeks. I'm sure he will play. But yeah, and I thought Hoover today, going forward, I think maybe he's more suited as a centre-back because when he gets in that position where he goes to cross the ball, he tends to spoon it out for a goal kick, doesn't he? Or hit it way too far.
Yeah.
But he's got a bit of pace about him, good little turn on him. But I think maybe he's a better centre-back. But I don't know for sure. Maybe he is a better right-back. I don't know.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting these next few games to see. Do you think Nuno should stick with this sort of 11, Harry? Or do you think, for these big games against Spurs, Everton, United, do you think he should go back to quite a cautious mentality? Or do you think we may as well go for it because the season really is over for us?
It's interesting because I think the reason Adama and that got dropped today was because how bad they performed against West Brom, even Sace. I thought Kilman did okay today. It'd be interesting to see, and we joke about it. The first season in the Premier League, we could pick Nuno's team. Every Wolves fan could. Now, I can't pick it. I don't know. But for me, I would still continue playing a lot of the youngsters. Why not? We might get a hiding. We might get absolutely spanked by Spurs, but put them in there. Just see if they can do the job. Even though I'd have been really annoyed at full time today if we'd have drew 1-1, I'd have still been like, yeah, but, we did start the team we started. So I think you've got to have a bit of leeway with it. I know a lot of people won't like to hear that, but we wanted the youngsters. They're in there. We know what we're going to get. It might not be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. And we've just got to trust them and see how it goes.
Yeah, 100% agree. I just had a vision today when Brighton took that early lead as well. He stuck all these youngsters in again. This is all going to be Nuno's fault again because he's put the youngsters in. But hold on, last week on Twitter, you were saying we should play the youngsters. So, there's got to be a balance with it. And like you say, these players are young. Whilst there's not a lot to play for us, you can expect mistakes, expect misses, like the one from Morgan Gibbs-White today. He could have easily just thought, you know what, let the ground swallow him up and just be anonymous for the remainder of the game. But he didn't. He was still hungry, and in the end, he managed to get that goal. I think he shut a lot of people up as well after that. I've seen a lot of tweets on obviously on Twitter when he missed that chance, and those people were very quick to sort of take back their words. So I mean, it was a good finish from him today as well.
Fair play to him.
Yeah,
sorry to cut you off. Yeah, fair play to him because I said on the fans react on Talking Walls, I've been one of the biggest critics of him, really, because of times I feel like he hasn't cared, but he come on against West Brom, brilliant, showed fight. And today, after that miss, obviously gutted. I just thought to myself, the stick he's going to get after the game is going to be horrendous, but he took the goal really well, and his celebration was really good as well. The passion that come out in the celebration, and he's only human, Dave. He must see what goes on online. He must see it. So it shows the character in him, you know what I mean, just to keep plugging away. And he did one thing that stuck out to me that he mentioned in his post-match interview. He said, me and the manager got a really good relationship. So just from him saying that, I think he will be with us next year. If it's probably his backup, I think Nuno probably likes him.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't see him, I'm sure his girlfriend will see the tweets anyway, mate. Because she's on it all the time. Isn't she
She had a field day today, son.
A lot of chat about Max Kilman as well, Harry. He got recalled today. First time really in a while we've seen him. I know a lot of people were wondering what he had to do. I think I tweeted on Talking Wolves last weekend about his defensive stats this season for Wolves. We just seem to be a lot better defensively with him in this team. What did you think? I mean, Matt said earlier he didn't really have that much to do, but pretty solid performance from him.
I thought he was really good, solid. He put in a few good tackles. I think he's comfortable on the ball. When he come on against West Brom, although short, he just feels safe to me. He feels safe at his young age, and it's still a mystery to me why all of a sudden he was abandoned from the team. But we've got to trust Nuno's judgment on that. I like him. He's a left-footed centre-back. He's balanced when he plays there. He deserved to start over Sace after how bad he's been. And I really like him. Like I say, comfortable on the ball, can get stuck in, decent in the air, and he's only going to get better. I really like him. And I don't get why he did have the time at the team he did. I was surprised by it, to be honest. Yeah,
well, you got him that's been, we've had injury issues all over the pitch, really, but you've had injury issues to Bolly. You've got Sese, who's not really a centre-back. Both of those are going to be at the Africa Cup of Nations next season, so you're going to be missing those a lot. Cody as well, if you're sticking with a back four, isn't really the answer. So I think, if you're going to be signing new centre-backs, Kilman, I think, is just one to probably keep around as that squad player because, you strengthen that position, whether you play back four or back five. I think he's played well there, suits both due to his height and ability on the ball. I mean, to be fair, I think, which game was it now? I think we played Leeds, beating 1-0, and he was quality. I'm pretty sure I called it for Gareth Southgate. I think Gareth Southgate, I said, should be looking at him, so I think I spoke a little bit too soon there. But he genuinely, though, to have him as a squad player, I know, to be fair, I didn't give him stick, but I said, he's probably not, as a first teamer, he's not the quality that for where we want to go as a team. But definitely as a squad player, I think he offers the club more long-term than what the likes of Sace probably does. And I don't want to say Cody, but I think Kilman is more suited to that centre-back role. But it's going to be a very intriguing summer, Harry. Where do the club need to go from here? Where should the priorities be for Jeff and Nuno?
Well, we've been talking about Kilman. It is defence. It is definitely. We've got it 1 or 2. If we go 5 at the back, definitely 2 centre halves, midfielder, a striker. I saw Talking Wolves post it about Tony breaking the championship goals record. Someone like him. Whether we play 2 up front, I don't know. And I also saw that post you put out, Dave, of Jeff Shee and that saying they might actually look into the English market, which is music to my ears because I might actually know someone we signed going forward. Because it's been
pronounce their name,
and pronounce their name too, yeah. So I hope that's true. I'd like to see it, but they're going to bite the bullet and pay over the odds because obviously they like value, don't they? That's why they do venture abroad with the Mendes clients and that. But everyone knows, don't they? A couple of centre backs, maybe a midfielder because Moutinho, how long's he got left? So probably someone like that. Another striker if Willian José does not stay. But it's going to be an interesting summer, mate. And if we get it right, it could go well again. We could start pushing back up there, and I hope Nuno can start getting a lot of the Nuno out people back on side with a good summer.
Yeah, I think there was games, especially that one against West Brom earlier in the season, where we just seemed to lack any sort of passion, as if we didn't really know what the Black Country derby meant. And I think if you do get those English players involved, or at least players that have experienced the Premier League or Championship, they're going to know what these derbies mean to fans as well. And I think that was a big factor in not having us fans there. But it should be a couple of weeks now. I think it's 2 weeks today that fans can get back. Harry, are you in that priority group 1, mate? Can we expect to see you at Molyneux?
Well, I think it's a bit of karma because I jokingly tweeted out in the day. I put, "Wow, I'm happy to get I'm happy to get a ticket for Man United. I'm just gutted I'm in the Steve Ball lower." Joking. I think that's bit me on the ass. So priority 4 day. I was.
Scott was.
I was giving it. Yeah, I was giving it the. Oh man, I want to. I was giving it the. I don't mind if I don't get one. I want to be back in when all the fans are there. As soon as I was in that priority 4, mate, I was like, for fuck's sake, no. Why isn't it priority one? But it's
Well,
look at the draw, innit, mate. It's look at the draw.
Yeah, you know what you have to do.
Look at the draw.
Everyone that didn't get one just moan, "Oh, the atmosphere is going to be crap anyway." I ain't bothered.
Yeah, it's going to be
Like,
crap.
yeah.
Yeah, the season's over, mate. Man, you're not going to play their kids. I ain't even going to watch it.
I'd rather wait till everyone's back in the stadium. Yeah. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Anyway, Harry, and yeah, I'm sure we'll chat very, very soon, mate. I'll chat to you soon.
See you in a bit, mate. Bye bye.
See you in a bit, mate. Bye bye. A big thanks to Harry for jumping on the final word. Guys, let me know as well if you're a season ticket holder, if you're going to be grabbing a ticket for that game against Manchester United. We'll move on to the final guest of the stream, Mr. Tom Parker. Tom, how you keeping, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Happy about the performance today. I didn't get a ticket. I didn't enter into the Ballo, to be fair. I don't have the time to go to the games. But yeah, overall, it's not been too bad. Been very busy, but...
Good, mate. Yeah, I've seen you on the old social media doing all sorts. But did you manage to catch the game today, or at least a big chunk of the game?
Yeah, I caught some of the first half and then most of the second half. I was coaching, believe it or not.
Oh.
So yeah, I missed the first half. I think I saw the first 10 minutes. We played okay. I thought we were knocking the ball about quite well. And then as soon as we conceded, I was like, right, I'm going to just focus on my game here because I was just like, it's going to be the same thing as always, really.
Yeah. What did you think then? From what you saw, was it better performance from Wolves? What were the positives and negatives for you?
To be honest, the performance was pretty decent in the second half. First half, from what I've read, we were pretty poor. I can't comment too much on it because I didn't see that much of it. But from seeing the highlights, Brighton probably dominated the majority of the play. That and the fact that set pieces again. I mean, how many times have we said it this season? We just keep conceding from crosses and set pieces. We did the same against West Brom. And we've done the same today. And I don't know, it gets a bit frustrating after a while when you're talking about the same defensive mistakes each week. You have to sort of wonder what we do in training in terms of set pieces, because surely, the team have got to look at that and realise that zonal marking, which it's a pet peeve of mine anyway. I wouldn't quite call myself a darling, to be honest, mate. Look, I don't want to be too critical because we've won today. But I am in part of the outspoken. Can we even call it an outspoken group anymore? I don't know.
People are asking where you and Bib were because Bib missed out on the fans' react. Someone else said, "Where's Tom Parker and where's Bib today?" But
I'm all over the place these days, guys. I've got people booking me in for different things. No, in terms of an overall performance, I was so happy for Gibbs-White with that goal. So happy because I think a lot of us I think pretty much most Wolves fans have given him stick. I don't think there's anyone that can say, I haven't said any bad word about him, because I think the majority of fans have, particularly after the lockdown party, and then his girlfriend hasn't really helped him, to be honest. But today he was really, really good. Much better when moved into the 10, which is obvious. I don't know why Nuno started him on the wing, but I guess that's just limitations of the squad. I mean, he started Otasowie on the right-hand side last week and Gibbs-White this week. So it must be, Podence is out of form, Adama's out of form. So it's probably just trying something new. But yeah, I was happy with the lineup as well. A lot of Wolves fans, me particularly, have been calling for the young players to play, and he's playing them. So I had no complaints with the lineup at all. And I didn't have too many complaints with the performance, particularly in the second half. I thought once Fabio got Dunk sent off, I thought we were in control of the game, which is we haven't said many times this season. But yeah, again, set pieces really been the issue, which is frustrating.
Yeah. The best thing is, Tom, though, as well, that he's playing these young players, but we're still getting results. These last two games now, took them in for the West Brom game and got a point, played well, and today, albeit the red card, big helping hand, but it's not like they're just playing; they're being a massive part of the goals and the movement.
Yeah,
like Vitinha last game, and today Fabio getting an assist, drawing the red card, and Morgan getting a goal as well.
Yeah, the young players the past couple of weeks have been our best players, really. Been the standout, the energy, a lot of them have the technical ability on Vitinha and Gibbs-White is massively underappreciated. I think we've appreciated it now that they've started playing a little bit more. Why have they been on the bench for the majority of the season when what we have lacked has been creative flair in and around the 16-yard area? So overall, yeah, I don't think there can be too many complaints about the lineups. I know some people were complaining of the fact that he started the young players. I personally didn't have any issues. You know, I'll happily hold my hands up if Nuno proves me wrong. You know, I think any Nuno out person, any Wolves fan that is Nuno out, would happily be proven wrong because it means that he's doing something right. And you know, we don't want him to fail. We just want things to get better, and at the moment, obviously, things are looking a little bit better. And the fact that our young players are being our standout performers is testament to how good they are. I've seen a few comments coming in about Fabio. I've had a little bit of stick from flatmates this year because I've constantly been banging the Fabio Silva drum, and I've had everyone telling me that he's absolutely terrible. But I think I'm sat there smiling to myself today because I do think he'll kick on in the next couple of years, and I think that he will come good. I think if it wasn't for his price tag, people would be saying he was an absolute bargain. You know, they'd be like, 18 years old, he's got 4 goals, he's got a few assists for, 10 million. Yeah, that's decent. Let's not forget that, a good chunk of that 35 million pounds was agent fees, really. So we didn't pay 35 million pounds for Fabio Silva specifically. I think we probably paid around 20 million, 25 million for him. And for me, that's good value for an 18-year-old, best in his position. Our scout said that, he was one of the most talented players in his position, in his age group. In this day and age, I think, what we paid for him is still okay.
I think, he's starting to show those signs of why we paid that money for him. And fingers crossed, a big summer for him. Good pre-season. Because, last pre-season was non-existent for every player.
We didn't even have one.
Exactly. So if we can have a big pre-season. Nuno's pre-seasons as well are, even the year before, because we were in the Europa League, it was such a broken pre-season. But they've been so physical and all fitness orientated. If we can have a big proper pre-season for the first time in 2 or 3 years, this could be huge for players like Fabio Silva, just to be in the best physical shape he can be before another big season. I think that could be absolutely massive for him. Going back to the set pieces, Tom, what do you think it is? Why are Wolves conceding so much? Is it personnel or is it how we're setting up? I mean, Justin said earlier on, try and sign Tarkowski. I've seen people say, I know he got sent off today, someone like Lewis Dunk. Do you think that's one of the issues? Because, I mean, in terms of height, they just towered over us today, Brighton.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Like I mentioned previously, zonal marking is a massive pet peeve of mine. I hate it because it means that you get so many mismatches in the penalty area. We've seen Gibbs-White against Dan Burn.
Yeah,
I mean, look, let's be honest. No one in our team is going to be able to win a header against Dan Burn. We don't have anyone. I don't think many Premier League teams have got a player that's that tall. But, when you've got Neves on Dunk, which is, we conceded the same way in the reverse fixture. So you have to look at that and think, why are we not learning from the same mistakes that we've made previously, which we know about. We know Lewis Dunk is, good in the air. So we need to stick our most aerially competent players on him, like Max Kilman, someone like that, who, I actually thought Max Kilman was decent today. I don't think he had bucket loads to do, but I thought he was solid. I don't think he put a foot wrong. I don't think he's any worse than Saiz. I think he's better than Saiz, to be honest. I think him and Cody as a pair look a lot more comfortable than Cody and Saiz do look as a pair. I think it's a mixture of both. I think recruitment this summer, I think Tarkowski's a good shout. I think Ben White, I don't understand why we weren't really looking at Ben White. I think he's had a bit of an off-season with Brighton. He's not been quite as good as he was with Leeds, but I definitely think he's worth a look in. Good on the ball, tall, quick. He's good in the challenge, so I think he'd be worth a look in if we're looking into the English market. He will be a lot of money though, and he's been with United, so it'll be a tough one. But they've been quoting prices around 30 mil. If they want to learn their lessons from Ruben Dias, I think that Fosun this season have really got to get recruitment right, and not be too tight with the purse strings, because we're going to end up with a similar season to this season, I think.
Well, you look at the amount of, I don't want to say dead wood, but players that are fringe that probably aren't going to be, involved too much. Vinagre, wanted by 2 of the biggest teams in Portugal right now. You're going to get certain profit on him from what we paid. Rafamir, Catrone, you've got a lot of players that are out on loan at the moment that, all fringe players that you will be able to get money for. You got a bit of money coming in again from the Jota deal. So, in terms of the budget, straight away, you've got players, sellable assets there. And there's a lot of talk about swap deals and stuff like that to make way for different players and so on. So I think we can definitely see that. But this is going to be a big one, and it has to be the biggest one, and as good, if not better, than that first summer window when we came up, because the rest have just been underwhelming, haven't they?
I think underwhelming's been kind, to be honest. We've literally since the first window, it's been absolutely awful. Recruitment has been so bad. Having said that, I thought if you're looking at it on hindsight, this last summer's window wasn't too bad, because I think Vitinha's shown promise. I think Fabio Silva's obviously shown promise.
Now it has, yeah.
I know you. I was a big fan of anyway. I think he's starting to show promise to, and I think the general Wolves fan base is starting to grow to him. So, I don't think it's been absolutely awful, but we really, really need to sign centre-halves. I mean, any club looking outwardly into Wolves would think, hang on a sec, they haven't signed a centre-back since they've been promoted. You're asking for trouble, really. So I think centre-back, I think we need someone like Yves Bissouma, a midfielder that's got energy. I know that he's going to be a lot of money, and a lot of clubs want him, but I don't see why we can't throw ourselves into the ring. I think he's more likely to get game time at us, and we're not exactly, we proved that we can mix it up with the biggest teams in the league. So I wouldn't be against that. If he hadn't signed a new deal at Juventus, I would have gone with Weston McKennie. I think he's also a very viable option, but he's doing really well there, so he's not going to move to us. There's definitely centre mids out there. I think we need more depth in the wing. And then going forward, we've got to be wary as well. Jimenez might not be the same player, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say Adama Traore. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation over his future. Came on today and made a huge difference, didn't he, Tom? I mean, I said to Matt earlier, in an ideal world, you'd want him to be a super sub for you, but it sounds like he isn't happy with that, and he even wants to be classed as probably one of the star players with this whole contract situation.
I mean, I get it, but I also don't understand. I think probably his agent is probably pushing, and he's pushing for a new deal. But if he reflects on this season, honestly, I can't understand how he's demanding a higher wage when he's performed worse than he did last season. I know this contract thing has been going on for quite a while, to be honest. There was even rumblings about this towards the end of last season. It just seems as though it's one of those situations that we just need to put to bed. Either cash in him or give him a new deal. If it was me in this Fosun's position, I would just give him the new deal. I think he's shown today what he's shown many times before is that he's one of the very few players in this squad that can really get people off their seats. And we're not the most entertaining team to watch as it is. You take Adama Traore out of that team, particularly with Neto, who's going to be out as well for, the first couple of months of the season. I mean, who have you got really that's that quick, dynamic? We were a very slow team. We're slow to get going. We're slow to create chances, which has been reflected in our creative output this season. I think getting rid of a player that has the ability to change a game it's all it's doing is weakening the side. We should need to learn our lessons from Jota. Yes, okay, he didn't get the most. He got 16 goals, but they were really sort of in bunches, right? And then he didn't score for the majority of the season. But if you look at his work off the ball, he was very good at getting us up the pitch. He was very good at getting that sort of second assists where he would assist the assist. We can't afford to lose too many players. Doherty, same thing. In other teams, he might not be as good, but for our system, his output going forward was, superb, and we've missed that this season. We can't afford to just keep letting these players go, because eventually we're going to end up really, really struggling for goals even more. And I know Adama doesn't score or get too many assists, but it's his presence and his ability to create space for other players that I think is invaluable, really. And we don't have enough of those players as it is. I think getting rid of him would be a big mistake.
There's a few questions in chat as well. Thoughts on Neves' performance? I mean, you saw the stats over the week. Most tackles and most interceptions before this weekend in the Premier League for Neves. I saw a few people sound pretty disappointed about his performances. Do you think it's Neves that's been poor, or do you think this Nuno system is holding him back?
Yeah, I would. It'd be the latter for me. I've seen some fans saying that Nuno's loyalty to Neves is harming us. I was like, he's probably been our best player this season. I think it's loyalty to players like Dendoncker and Cody that haven't performed, or Saiz, that haven't performed this season that's harmed us, really. I mean, Moutinho even, really. You look at the winter time, Moutinho's getting absolute pelters, myself included, because rightly so, he looked tired, he looked leggy. Him and Neves looked far too weak in midfield as a pair. I thought today they were much better. But yeah, I think Neves is by far and away been our most consistent player this season. He's the only player this season that I could say has put in a 10 out of 10 performance in individual games. He's so good at being a transitive midfielder. He wins the ball back and gets us up the pitch quicker than anyone else in the squad. So yeah, I think we need to keep hold of him. And to answer to Lewis's question, yeah, I thought he had a solid performance again today.
Yeah, a few quick fire questions as well. A couple of people asking. Richard wants to know your thoughts on Ivan Toney. Of course, I think Wolves had a deal agreed with him, and he failed a medical years ago.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him, Tom?
I would definitely look at Ivan Toney. I think you could probably get him for 20 to 25 million, similar to Watkins. I also think Adam Armstrong is a good shout from Blackburn. 28 goals this season. I think
Armstrong would be happy to sit as a rotation option, backup option as well.
Yeah, it's not just the how good the player is. You've got to look at, will they want to be the main person? And I think Adam Armstrong is at that level where I think he would be okay, fitting into this squad and playing on a rotation basis. Ivan Toney, for me, looks like the sort of player that will be like an Ollie Watkins. He wants to lead the line for a decent Premier League side. I think he'd probably be a better signing for Brighton than anyone else with the XG that they have this season. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Although we did beat them on XG today, so there you go. Small victories. Yeah, was there another question in there?
Yeah, sorry, Vinicius as well. Obviously, he's been quite heavily lit. Yeah.
So I thought you meant Vinicius Junior for a second.
Oh, no, Carlos Vinicius.
Carlos Vinicius. Yeah, decent player. He's one of those that sort of fits the physicality of the strikers we tend to go for. Obviously, you've got question marks really about his goal return. The majority of his goals have been against lower league opposition. But at the same time, I do think that we were linked with him previously. He looks like a similar player to the mould of strikers we tend to get, and it hasn't failed us so far. So, yeah, I'd take a punt on him. I think we can get him for a lot cheaper than the 60 million. I think they're after
20 to 30.
Yeah, I mean, his stock has definitely fallen. I think Benfica will be kicking themselves. They didn't just cash in, but, hindsight is a wonderful thing. So, yeah, I'd get Vinicius 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Tom, thanks a lot for jumping on. I'm sure we'll talk very soon. I'll try and get a few more of the old final words on between now and the end of the season as well. But I appreciate you always jumping on, mate, and I'll enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too, mate. Have a good one.
See you, mate. Cheers. Big thanks to Tom for jumping on, and all of the guests for jumping on the final word today, guys. Remember to check out the Draw the Line campaign, the BT Sport campaign. It is in the description. Raising awareness for online hate and social media abuse as well, to stand against it. And obviously, Talking Walls are backing that 100%. So the numbers are worrying, guys, in terms of this hate speech and so on. So it's really time that us as football fans as well, take a stand against this sort of stuff. But I really do appreciate everyone that stopped by today. Let us, put your questions in. Spoke to us in the chat there. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, guys. We're very, very close to 9k. We could probably hit it this week, which would be phenomenal. So really do appreciate the support as always. And more podcasts, more transfer videos, more previews, reviews, videos and streams like this. And there's going to be loads of content coming out over the summer as well. So be sure to hit the subscribe and do not miss out. But yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and goodbye, West Bromwich Albion. We will not be seeing you next season, but yeah, until next time, guys, see you all very, very soon.